This. Whoops, we gotta hit this. This is Geek News Central. My name is Todd Cochran. The lead stories: TikTok is hit with $368 million fine under Europe's strict data privacy rules. Apple releases most of its 2023's big software updates today. Is your device and external devices supported? NASA's OSIRIS-REx prepares to deliver asteroid samples it swiped in space. And GE is working on AI-powered ultrasounds to combat pediatric and maternal mortality rates. I want to welcome you to episode 1692 of the Geek News Central podcast for Monday, September 18th. This show is sponsored by GoDaddy.com and supported by listeners just like you. Great deals from GoDaddy can be found at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. You can support this show today at geeknewscentral.com/insider by becoming a Geek News Central insider. We are lit and live with apps from podcastapps.com. Join the value for value revolution. Earn Satoshis just by switching to a new modern podcast app at podcastapps.com. We want to welcome all brand new listeners to the show. Thank you for being here. Make sure you get over to geeknewscentral.com. Follow or subscribe to the podcast, or of course you can find the show in any of your favorite podcasting apps. You can join our chat room as well. That's a great way to stay connected to geeknews.chat. That's a Mastodon chat, and each episode has its own basically post that allows you to participate in our social integration, and that is beyond what I even want to describe what that even means. But of course, you can contact me via email, geeknews@gmail.com, on X @geeknews. That's a great way to stay connected with the show. Of course, all the partner shows are available at geeknewscentral.com, whether it be the new media show with myself and Mr. Rob Greenlee, the Gadget Professor with Mr. Don Bain, Dr. Don Bain, who is going to head out and be on a European 6-week tour here shortly. Matter of fact, probably leaving the next day or two. And of course, Scott and Kirk. Kirk is our executive producer here. Kirk is the lead on the GNC Weekend Review. So definitely check those shows out. Those are all linked at geeknewscentral.com. Of course, you can follow me on Facebook as well. The show is sponsored by the longest running continuous sponsor of a podcast. That's our good friends at GoDaddy. This is where savings begin. It's where you can lock in savings, save yourself a big pile of cash. Geek News Central listeners save an average of about 90 to 94% on all their products and services. And all you got to do is go over there and grab one of my promo codes. Again, savings start here, just a penny for brandnew.com. That's the best deal. That's just an incredible way to go. Or $1.99 a month economy hosting for the first year with a free domain. $1.99 a month economy hosting for the first year of the free domain, or $2.99 a month managed WordPress hosting for the first year with a free domain. You get a free trial of GoDaddy website builder, your choice of personal, business, or business plus plans. That's a 1-month free trial. All of these savings can lock in at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. And remember, you are supporting a small independent writing team. Your sponsorship dollars keeps the rent paid of the studio, keeps the electricity on, the gas bill paid. My electricity bill last month was, was a big one. I don't know why, because I wasn't here very much of that month. Of course, insurance and everything else. So, and all of the writing team's salaries and replacement gear, like light bulbs on one of the lights in the back, a little 23-cent light bulb I had ordered from Amazon. So, that wasn't a big expense. But you never know when something big is going to break. But you are supporting a great team here at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Lock in those savings. Support GoDaddy. We appreciate it that you do. Thank you so much for GoDaddy for being an ongoing, long-time supporter and sponsor of this podcast. So I hope everyone's doing well. Back here in the studio, as I promised on Monday, and boy, oh boy, my feedback. I posted my Tesla experience on Facebook. Whoo! People were astounded. They were astounded. How could it be? How could it was so horrible? My car's great. Yeah, if you like to wear a back brace. So if you haven't seen my Tesla thread on Facebook, definitely go over there and look. Now, one thing's for sure, today I was monkeying around. I had meetings. We're getting ready to launch a brand new product or an updated product tomorrow. I'll talk about it here in a second because you guys are all in the know. You can hear about it early. And we're doing testing, so I think we're good. I think we can cut it loose tomorrow afternoon. Some of it's already available, but I was looking at Blueberry does a 3% fee. Basically, if you donate 1,000 Satoshis to a podcaster, it actually costs you 1,030 because we get 30 of those Satoshis. We do a 3% take for basically implementing the value for value stuff. And I rolled into our Albi account today, and I was surprised by the number of Satoshis in the account. And again, granted, we're only getting 3%, so they're coming in 1, 2, 10. It's small numbers that they're coming in. Repeatedly, ding, 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 ding. But I said, I can figure out how much our content creators have earned by backing this out, and basically doing the math. And, I was like, okay. I said, let me just try something. So I said, I went to ChatGPT and I said, Blueberry has earned on our 3% fee this many Satoshis. The Satoshi value is worth this much in dollars today. Calculate to me how much our podcasters have earned in sats. And it just went to work. So I gave it three things. I gave it that we took 3%, that our earnings were X, and that the value of Bitcoin today was, I think, $27,061 or something like that. And I just hit return, and I went to another tab, and I was on doing other things. Now, normally I would have got the calculator out, and this is not a hard thing to figure out, right? This is not a hard math solution. It's just a simple little formula, right? And, but again, I'm doing some other stuff, and I came back to it, and it said, your podcasters have earned, like $10,140, the equivalent of such and such Satoshis. And I was like blown away. I couldn't believe that our content creators, since we've implemented the Value for Value program, have earned over $10,000 implementing and participating in the new Value for Value model that we've talked about on this show. And this is why I keep telling you folks, it's not a huge amount. Okay, we have podcasters that earn more than that on a month on a regular advertising deal, but it was because people have donated like a quarter, 50 cents, $1, $25 at a time. And over this length of time that we've been doing this with people using these new podcast apps, a small segment, maybe 2-3% of overall audiences went to these new apps and are participating in the Value for Value program. Our podcasters at Blueberry, again, have earned over $10,000. And that, to me, was amazing. It was awesome, for something that we've implemented. Now, Blueberry has gotten 3% of that, which is not a lot, right? But still, the simple fact that we just put this in code and made this available, you got some dev time and everything else, but it's just huge. It's really, really huge. And I'm very, very happy about it. Now, because so many podcast hosts are non-certified, they're not part of the Podcast Standards Project, they're not participating in expanding podcasting, we are relaunching our Podcast Mirror website, podcastmirror.com, and we're going to be implementing and having Podcasting 2.0 features in there. So creators that are on other platforms like Spotify, Libsyn, Podbean, and a whole host of other podcast hosts that are non-certified in the Podcast Standards Project and not participating in Podcasting 2.0, they can use Podcast Mirror and immediately have their show participating in the Value for Value Podcasting 2.0 ecosphere. So we're very, very excited about that. The site is kind of up in soft launch right now. We'll have a press release, blog post. Everything will be up later. So I'm just kind of jazzed where we're at. The team's doing great. I had a very, very, very busy day because I'm reviewing web pages and some of the stuff. Because this is a site that we can't put on we rolled everything into production, went from beta to production, and so we're doing testing and making sure everything's right. And we haven't broke anything, and we're pretty jazzed. So hopefully there's no big issues, and we'll be able to officially launch tomorrow and announce it on Wednesday. But you guys all got to hear it here first, and so it's very, very cool. So that's what's going on with me, staying busy. Again, continuing doing the shows here. No plans for any travel through the end of the month. Although I may have to go see my new grandbaby at some point after October 1st, but that's all kind of in the air right now. We'll be making plans on that soon, and I'll get some dates, but definitely we'll be doing the show on the road because we are very, very fast approaching episode 1700. We're 8 episodes away. Don't think we're going to make October 9th as the 19th year in podcasting, but regardless, we're going to continue to bump away here at it. My first article up tonight, first thing to talk about is TikTok. TikTok's been hit with 368 million fine under Europe's strict data privacy rules. And basically, the regulators are saying they're failing to protect children's privacy. And this is the first time that the short video sharing app has been punished for breaching Europe's strict data privacy laws. And the investigation found that the sign-up process for teen users resulted in settings that made their account public by default, allowing anyone to view and comment on their videos. Default settings also pose a risk to children under 13 who gain access to the platform even though they were not allowed. Also, a family pairing feature designed for parents to manage settings wasn't strict, allowing adults to turn on direct messaging for users 16 and 17 without their consent, and it nudged teen users into more privacy-intrusive options when signing up and posting videos. TikTok says it disagrees with the decision, and of course the fine gets a big one. The company pointed out that the regulator criticism focused on features and settings dating back 3 years, and again, they don't give you no leeway. They don't care. TikTok said it had made changes well before the investigation began in September 2021, including make all accounts for teens under 16 private by default and disabling direct messaging for 13 to 15-year-olds. So we'll see. We'll see if I don't think they can go to court on this because the EU is just hardcore. So time will tell what happens with this. But TikTok's making a huge amount of money right now. They can afford to pay the fine, but it's massive. Of course, Apple today released most of its 2023 big software updates. Apple Watch is getting a big overhaul while most other updates focus on refinements. Now, if you are a podcaster and you have a Rodecaster, and you have an Intel machine, do not update. Do not update your machines. Rode's not ready. The Rode is not ready for you to update. Do not pull the trigger on your iMac or your MacBook or whatever you're using to integrate with your Mac. Do not do the upgrade yet. Hold up, wait up. Now, some of you may have older devices that aren't going to get the update. So be aware of that as well. And basically, they have a list of devices that are getting the update and those that aren't. But lots of, I think the iPad OS 17 will support 2017 fifth generation iPads or iPads, excuse me. What else? I think Mac OS 17 will, I don't have the list. It'll go on iPhones 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15, iPhone XS and XR, second, third generation iPhone SE, will update. And what else? So I have, I'm very, very careful because I run a lot of third-party content. So the Mac Minis behind me, those can update. The machine that's running this computer here that's tied to the Rodecaster, I will not update this one. And I still have the Mac Pro, the one that has and that's not on an Intel chips. I think maybe it is. Yeah, it probably is. Not going to update that one either. So again, it affects only the Intel chip series. If you have a Mac that's got an Intel chip, if you got if you have the Apple chip and A chip, you're probably okay. Just check the Rode website for those of you that are in that particular predicament. Now, this mission's been going on for a long time. I remember us talking about this many, many years ago. But NASA's OSIRIS-REx is preparing to deliver the asteroid sample it swiped in space. Now, this is a tiny load of cargo, 7 years in the making, will touch down in the Utah desert on September 24th. Now, in 2020, the van-sized spacecraft performed a touch and go, to pick up some space rocks. And it was on an asteroid. The long flight, again, ends on the 24th. And they're going to put this down, hopefully softly, at the U.S. military's Utah Test and Training Range near Dugway, Utah. And they've got a good video about what's going on. And, of course, OSIRIS-REx is the first mission led by NASA's Japan Space Agency, sent 2 spacecraft named Hayabusa and Hayabusa-2 to collect and return samples from asteroids Itokawa and Ryugu. I can't even pronounce it in Japanese. You would think I'd be able to, being Ryugu, respectively. And again, these samples are going to come down in Utah. So, because they visited asteroid Apophis, Apophis. Again, another weird name. But so anyway, we're going to get some rocks. I read a sci-fi book recently. Matter of fact, it's a series, and I was talking about it here on the show. It's kind of written for someone a little younger than me. This has been kind of fun. It's been a fun series, fast series to read. And asteroids really have this potential to be full of all kinds of amazing stuff. Lots of, could be dense. They could be dense in high valuable minerals and iron, and could be titanium and gold, and you just never know. So getting back some samples from an asteroid is probably one of those things that's going to give us a little idea. Now, it may end up just being dirt. Now, it ain't going to be quite dirt, but you know what I mean. It could be interesting to see what this sample is. And this is the first time. This is the first time we're going to get a sample from an asteroid. It's not like we can travel out there very, very quick and get back, right? It's not like you can send humans out 3.5 years out and 3.5 years back. It just doesn't work with the current way we have things going here. So it's exciting to see what they're going to get back. And, I just hope we get to a certain point where either the aliens show up and give us some tech, and they don't eat us, or number 2, that we discover something ourselves and really advance what's going on in our discovery of space. Maybe AI is going to help us. Speaking of AI, GE is working on an AI-powered ultrasound to combat pediatric and maternal mortality rates. This is evidence backed by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They funded it by a $44 million grant. And what they've done, GE Health says it plans to develop an AI-assisted ultrasound imaging tool that's so easy to use that even healthcare providers without specialized training will be able to operate it. GE says AI-powered imaging technology has been designed to be dispersed to low and middle-income countries where the service of healthcare providers may be stretched thin. The ultrasound tool will be more effective at producing clear readings of lung and ultrasound scans across maternal and fetal care, as well as pediatric lung health. These areas of medicine are particularly notable because maternal and child mortality is most preventable if medical intervention occurs early. So GE has a $3 billion ultrasound business recently focused on the development of pipeline of AI software. So we'll see. Meanwhile, all I'm hearing almost everywhere is go get your COVID-19 vaccine, the new one. I'm not. I'm going to get my flu shot because I've always got my flu shot because of going to CES, but I am not getting this new jab. How many of you are? geeknews@gmail.com. Love to hear your thoughts, knowing what you know now and maybe not what you knew before. It's being reported that cloud changes are to blame for nearly all cyber attacks. Of all the vulnerabilities that organization systems has, the majority sit within its cloud environment. As per the report, 4 and 5, 80% of all flaws reside in the cloud because most of our stuff is in the cloud. My entire platform is on Amazon AWS. Of these flaws, the most common ones are web framework takeover, 22%, remote access service, 20%, and IT security and network infrastructure, 17%. Researchers also know that it's newest solutions that are most often the most vulnerable. Almost half, 45% of all high-risk cloud-hosted exposures in any given month were not there a month before. To make matters much worse, cloud providers are quite volatile. They estimate that some 20% of all accessible cloud services change at least once a month. Two industries that have had its worst are transport and logistics, insurance and finance, with 27%, 24% of cloud offerings changing every month. And this is one of the reasons why we continue to run a bounty system and pay for bounties that come in. You know, Mars, we haven't heard too much about Mars here recently, but here's what the latest Mars rover has learned. You know, and again, the rover's been up there a while, right? Running around. And, you know, we don't hear too much news about them. And it's easy to take for granted, but, you know, we're still driving around Mars right now. And we've done this, you know, a few times now. We've been on the planet a long time. And we know that Perseverance, the star of the Mars 2020 mission that launched in July of that year and landed in February 2021, has been busy roving for over 2 years. And like other rovers, Perseverance is bristling with scientific instruments, cameras of multi-kinds used for both general imagery and spectral analysis. And it's not all about rocks. Perseverance has a weather module tracking atmospheric conditions, airborne dust, and has a friend, the Ingenuity helicopter, which, of course, has flown on multiple times. And, of course, they spent the first year investigating the Jezero crater and the type of rock that they thought they would find there would be somewhat ambiguous. And there was clearly some igneous rock, either from volcanic magma or a molten pool. And it turned out to be I'm going to pronounce this wrong. Igneous basalt under the blanket of wind-blown dust, and any lake bottom sediments. And of course, Martian meteorites were found on Earth, tipped with the red planet during large impact events. So they've been around that crater. And so anyway, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's been going on. Minerals, stuff that they've discovered, lots of cool pictures. And it's in 2022, it went toward the edge of the crater. So anyway, I just got the links. I have it all up in the show notes if you want to catch up on what the rovers have been doing and some of the cool pictures that we just don't get to see that often. You know, to get wrapped, you know, NASA only released so much stuff, but you know, you look at that picture. That's pretty slick. You know, to see that kind of high res imagery. And of course, Mars is, you know, mostly red. So at least appears that way, but you know, it's cool to get caught up. Meanwhile, Stoke Space, STOKE, Stoke Space hops its upper stage, leaping towards a fully reusable rocket. So they had a little hop, skip, and it wasn't a dump, it was a jump. It went up about 30 feet, moved to the right or left about 3 meters, and landed. And this is a small team of 90. This is their first flight. It's their second stage. And so they're pretty excited and continue to go on. And they're working out of, I think, Washington State. So all kinds of space stuff going on, and we'll see how these folks do. Now, Stokes Space has been allocated the use of Launch Complex 14 at the Cape. Now, the historic pad is where John Glenn launched in 1962. And so it's only been going a few years here, and they got a bunch of money. So we'll see where this leads. You know, the music industry is making all kinds of money, but guess what? The artists are just getting screwed. The music industry brought in $8.4 billion the first half of the year, with streaming making up 84% of the pie, and physical media sales hit the highest levels in a decade. And yet, artists are still getting pennies. You know, this is stark contrast to the complaints of artists, most of whom don't make any worthwhile money from streaming at all. And they've escalated various copyright fights for publishing credits to get paid for radio play to absurd levels. But hey, at least the tech execs and label bosses are happy because they get all the money. It's horrible. So what we are seeing, and this is something that is happening in the podcasting 2.0 space, is some small artists who have earned nothing on Spotify or any of these other small platforms are now starting to earn some money in this value for value model that I've been talking about. Now, there's not very many shows. And I beg of you, if you go listen to one of these, the Boostergram Ball that Adam Curry is doing is now on its 8th episode. Do not, and I say do not, subscribe to that podcast with a podcast app that is not one of those newfangled modern podcast apps from podcastapps.com. Subscribe to that show, grab the app, grab Fountain, grab any of the apps, set up your account, and I will send you Satoshis. And listen then to Boostergram Ball, and you will actually support music artists by listening to this episode live. Your Satoshis will stream to those artists if you set up per minute donations. And again, I'll give you enough sats to, do 4 or 5 episodes of a show and donate some money. And actually put money in music artists' pockets. This is a new frontier. Podcasting is going to be changing dramatically because podcasts can be audiobooks, can be music shows, could be documentaries, could be all kinds of things, just not spoken word. It ties in, but different kinds. We're making changes, ladies and gentlemen, and I want you to be on the ride with me, okay? All right. So, again, I'm going to tell you, go over to podcastapps.com. Grab one. Provide feedback. California has passed a bill to set up one-stop data deletion shop. Senate Bill 362, or the Delete Act, like the Right to Repair bill passed earlier last week, is now on its way to the governor's desk for signature. We don't typically comment on pending legislation, the governor's office said. But if signed, the bill will require the CPPA, the California Privacy Protection Agency, to set up a website by 2026 where residents could go to listing every single data breaker registered in the state to delete whatever data they have on them, and to keep deleting anything new they acquire every 45 days. So we'll see. Data brokers have a huge amount of data. They have the ability to use data on reproductive health care, geolocation, purchasing data to sell at the highest bidder. So you would hope that other states would start following some of these California privacy guidelines. I don't know. We'll just see. Over on medium.com, and I didn't read the full article because they wanted me to, I have a Medium account. I guess I should sign in and read the stupid thing. But they talked about an AI chatbot that's more creative than humans. The analysts at the College of Stavanger, Stavanger, tried the innovativeness of man-made consciousness. The study, according to researchers, not only demonstrates that humans have a more complex way of thinking than AI does, but also demonstrates that AI has a potential to increase creativity, which is what we're starting to find too. Man-made reasoning is proactively outplaying people in a large group of tests, be it technique, games, website architecture, or information handling. But notwithstanding a test directed by this college out of Norway, they used 256 workers for the review and set them in opposition to 3 chatbots, ChatGPT-3, ChatGPT-4, and Duplicate, an AI that's out there. They were questioned one by one regarding various applications' everyday use. After responses were compared, and the researchers were baffled by the chatbot's creativity, which was generally higher than humans. But again, humans were giving the most correct answers versus the chatbots. But remember, we're using the most dumb AI we will ever use right now. It's only going to get better. Casino cybercrime gang has already attacked over 100 companies, experts claim. Of course, we know that there was a recent cyber attack against MGM and several other Las Vegas casinos. The findings from Mandiant on the known group of scattered spider states, it may have successfully hit approximately 100 companies, and including employees of Okta, OKTA, a popular employee identity solution provider. The directors usually go for SMS phishing and phone call-based social engineering. By tricking people into giving away the login credentials to various company services, the group managed to wiggle its way into endpoints where it does all kinds of malicious activity. So ransomware is really, really picking up. And people have to be smart. Don't respond to SMSs. Don't respond to voice calls. Make sure you know who you're talking to. And I think smaller organizations probably have a little bit of an advantage because they know who on their teams are, and they're not going to give answers to someone they're not supposed to. While at the same time, smaller companies are probably most acceptable because maybe they don't have the best security. So it's kind of this double-edged sword, but also smaller companies may not have enough money to pay the ransomware that some companies are asking. Google Domains officially halts domain selling as Squarespace deal completes. A notice on Google Domains website now reads Google no longer offers new domain registrations, but try Squarespace. Don't try Squarespace. Try GoDaddy. geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. On September 7th, Squarespace announced the completion of its acquisition. And I have no domains on GoDaddy. I mean, Google. I have plenty on GoDaddy, 367, I think. And so anyway, link will be in the show notes. You can check that out. Google reveals a revamped read aloud feature and major accessibility update. And we have a team member that's getting ready to get rotor cuff surgery. And I said, hey, you're gonna have to do voice to text, and you're gonna have to be using some accessibility tools. So that individual's been looking at some of those. But as Microsoft continues to enhance its user experience with new features, Google's playing catch up and copying Edge's homework by introducing a new and improved read aloud feature to Chrome. The read aloud feature is currently available in the Canary test build of the browser for developers and Chrome enthusiasts. There's no knowing right now when it reaches public. It currently allows Chrome users to control the speed at which articles and web pages are read, or more options could be added before it becomes public. Now, those that are significantly vision impaired obviously have screen readers already. But the read aloud feature will also have a visual element in that the sentence being read will be highlighted as it's spoken. Then sure you can keep track of where you are, not get lost. So listen to articles like a podcast. Yeah, that's the way to think about it, right? TikTok workers hit back at software that tracks when they're in the office. Well, they basically are tracking their employees. And they want their people to be back in the office. And the past few months have been plagued with companies asking their workers to reconsider their hybrid working patterns. TikTok looks to be releasing its mandate with tracking software. According to a memo reported by the New York Times, TikTok will use a piece of software called MyRTO to monitor attendance, which is directly linked to the company's existing software. MyRTO is a tool designed to track badge swipes. Fail to check into the office will see workers have to explain their absence to seniors, with worker supervisors and HR all reportedly having access to these records. The report says TikTok taking it one step further, though, with the firm reportedly preparing to withhold lunch stipends for those who don't check in frequently enough. So the work-at-home era is slowing down for some. We've embraced it fully. We're remote. Remote. X paying users can now verify their account with a government ID. Send in photos of your ID to get that X check mark. And they will get preferential support, although exact nature of support is yet to be detailed. The new feature is currently available in numerous territories, all notably it is absent from Europe and the UK, possibly due to GDPR. The company said that aside from its intention to prevent impersonations, there may be more ID-based account verification, such as ensuring users have access to age-appropriate content. It also said the user will get prioritized support. To see if a user has been verified with government ID, you'll need to click on the blue check mark by their name on their profile. X will also soon start collecting biometric data, as we talked about in a previous podcast. SpaceX has completed an engine test for the Artemis 3 moon lander. This is a special Raptor. This Raptor has to be able to vary power. It has to be very adaptive in the burn and the length and the ability to change the level of the engine power over time because of intense maneuvers of this caliber, which the Russians found out. If you burn 45 seconds longer than you should, you are going to auger your lander into the moon Terra, in which they did. A Windows 11 update reportedly causes havoc from gaming glitches to boot failures. So, KB50302219, a compulsive update for September that was released last week, has caused all kinds of trouble. Reports of PCs failing to start entirely after the update, which is very worrying. There's nothing worse than your system failing to boot after applying an upgrade. Another report on Reddit, an official thread, complains of a problem where the start menu fails to work for some folks. And this is just like any other update. Like the Mac one, don't be first. Wait a few days. According to The Verge, the cable bundle of the future is officially here. Disney and Charter Historic Agreement has introduced a new kind of cable bundle. How many of you still have cable? The question is, why? Why do you still have cable? Well, basically, of course, what they had to do is this deal, this bundle, right? So Charter and Disney and ESPN, of course, Disney owns ESPN. In the end, over their battle, the two giants agreed on a package that would win for both. Now you'll get Disney Plus Basic. That's the version with the ads when you pay for Spectrum's TV Select package. Spring for Spectrum TV Select Plus package, and you'll get ESPN Plus 2. The result should function sort of as a Max currently does. If you subscribe to HBO through your cable provider, you get Max for free. Disney Plus will start to feel the same. Why have both? I don't need sports. I don't need an ESPN bundle. I don't care. If you live in the South Carolina area, the United States military is on the hunt for an F-35 that has gone missing following an incident that forced the pilot to eject from the advanced stealth aircraft over South Carolina. They haven't found it yet. They don't know where it crashed. The pilot punched out, and the jet continued on, I guess, for a little bit, and then buried in. And so it's kind of interesting that they couldn't find it. Each chest costs $160 million, depending on the variant. So, yes, they want to find it because guess what? It's got all kinds of composite stuff. They have to clean it up. Very, very hazardous. Now, hold the phone. Hold the phone. We have a problem. Houston, we have a problem. The moon. Yes, the moon is slowly drifting away from Earth and is beginning to impact us. Say what? The moon is moving away from us? Yes, it's moving away. It turns out that the moon is moving away from the Earth at 3.82 centimeters a year. That means eventually it'll result in Earth days lasting 25 hours. 25 hours get an extra hour to work in 200 million years from now. Yes, this is actually a story on Indy100.com. Do any of us care that the moon is moving away from us at 3.82 centimeters? That's about that much. Those of you that are watching, I hold my fingers apart, about 3.82 centimeters. It's causing the Earth to rotate slower. Who would have known? 3.82 centimeters. That was a headline article. The Steve Jobs Archive is helping 9 people follow in the man's footsteps. An organization that collects and curates information about the late founder's life has introduced a part-time fellowship program that aims to help new generation of creative and technology-gifted people follow in Steve Jobs' footsteps. The first 9 fellows are a group of young creators that include musicians, engineers, storytellers, and more, who receive guidance, resources, financial support over the coming year to help them make their creative ambitions a reality, according to the SGA press release. Each of the fellows selected for the program was chosen for their wide-ranging curiosity, sense of possibility, and determination to leave the world better than they found it. So I didn't know this was even a thing. And yes, I'm still enjoying my Red Bull, the Amber Edition. It's a lovely, lovely flavor. Amazon will hold its big Prime Deals Day on October 10th and 11th. Great savings, of course, on Amazon devices and stuff you probably don't need. So October 10th and 11th is the date for the big deal. And sure, we'll see some plethora of good savings. And you can spend money and start your Christmas shopping early. Microsoft AI researchers accidentally exposed terabytes of internal sensitive data. Yep, again. There was a GitHub repository belonging to Microsoft AI Research Division, and it provided open source code and AI models for image recognition. Were instructed to download the models from an Azure storage URL. However, they found that this URL was configured to grant permissions on the entire storage account, exposing additional private data. The data includes 38 terabytes of sensitive information, including the personal backups of 2 Microsoft employees' personal computers. Why those would be on there is interesting. The data also contained other sensitive personal data, including passwords of Microsoft services, secret keys, and more than 30,000 internal Microsoft Teams messages from hundreds of Microsoft employees. The URL has been exposed to this data since 2020, which was also misconfigured to allow full control rather than read-only permissions, which meant anyone who knew where to look could potentially delete, replace, and inject malicious content. So, they note the storage account wasn't directly exposed. Rather than Microsoft AI developers included an overly permissive shared access signature. SAS tokens are a mechanism used by Azure that allows users to create shareable links. So, yeah. They revealed it to Microsoft on June 22nd, and Microsoft closed the door on the 24th. Again, 404 stuff. There's a whole bunch of stuff about I gambled at MGM's hacked casino. And so someone said, I wanted to see if it was actually the case. The vast majority of its offerings remain operational. Meanwhile, the hacker said in a statement Friday that if a deal is not reached, we shall carry out additional attacks and claim to still be inside MGM systems. I knew from videos posted to Twitter that some slot machines would be broken, that all elevators would be unlocked, and able to travel to any floor, and that parking garages lost the ability to charge people, the hotel chicken lines would be very long, and certain casino operations would be cash only. And in the time he was there, he gambled, walked around extensively, casually spoke to visitors. The short answer is all sort of casino functions are beeped up in ways that are minor inconveniences for visitors, but a nightmare for MGM. Ironically, some of the systems that have been hacked and haven't come back online are food ordering, kiosks, touchscreens that replaced human workers years ago. With those systems down, human workers had to step up to replace automated systems in addition to their other duties. Overall, 6 days in, the hack was still a big topic of conversation. So I can only imagine the nightmare. Apple CEO Tim Cook did an interview on creating a clean energy future. This is a pretty good interview. I'm not going to go into it. Only big companies like Apple can really afford to implement clean energy effectively and with scale because it makes so much money. But it's a good article to read. Google and the Department of Defense are building an AI-powered microscope to help doctors spot cancer. And the tool is called the Augmented Reality Microscope, and it usually costs healthcare systems between $90,000 and $100,000. Experts believe this will help support doctors in smaller labs as they battle workforce shortages and mounting caseloads. So one thing I had done with my VA round right now. I went through and did everything, got a checkup, blah, blah, blah. And when I was there, I said, hey, I got 3 spots. 3 spots on my body. I need the dermatologist to take a look at. You guys know I had this scare on my back, and he got really, really lucky in having that spot removed. And they didn't have a dermatologist there in the Battle Creek office, but they did in Ann Arbor. So what they did is they had a specialized camera, and I actually got to look at the images that they took, and they were really, really good. They sent those over to the dermatologist, had them reviewed. Dermatologist said, hey, came back, you said you're good, you don't have any further thing to look at. But I'm just trying to keep an eye on it, right? Because melanoma, ladies and gentlemen, will put you in the grave. So keep an eye on those spots on your bodies. If they get a little weird, change color, become distorted, become rough, get to your doctor and get a referral to see a dermatologist. So nothing really, though, replaces a full body scan. If you get a full body scan on a regular basis, that's the best because they've got great tools to, track stuff that's, shouldn't be doing what it should be doing. But anyway, these types of tools that Google and the Department of Defense are building can help us in smaller rural areas in clinics that may not have the technicians to spot something that may need to be looked at deeper. So I think some things life's going to get better. Some things knowledge workers are screwed in the next couple of years. I keep talking about that. And again, if you're not paying attention, I will tell it to you again. You better become the most informed person about AI tools in your company, or in about 3 years, you may not have a job. I don't want any of you to email me in 3 years and say, Todd, I should have listened to you. Okay? I don't want that to happen to nobody. Listen to the show. You've been informed. And inform your friends. Tell people that you know. Use that, 6 degrees of separation. Spread the word. Okay, so we're close to the end here. At Geek News on X, geeknews@gmail.com, geeknews@gmail.com. Don't forget about our sponsor, GoDaddy, geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. I hope you all take care of one another. Watch out for each other. I'll be back Thursday with another edition of the Geek News Central podcast, as we now will have the striking march to 1700. And I want to thank you all for being part of the family here. Those of you that are insiders that contribute $2, $5, $10, $15, $20, and $25 a month. I just seen a $25 one come in the other day. Thank you so much for your ongoing support. Some of you have not claimed your $1,000 gift that I give for contributing $1,000 to the show. Again, the accounting's on you. Just send me an email. If you haven't if you've hit your 1,000, and I know some of you have, you've been donating for many, many years. Some of you even at the lower amounts, probably getting close too. But again, it's been my pleasure to bring the podcast to you. You can support the show at geeknewscentral.com/insider or participate in the value for value model. And no boosts came in during the show. That means someone's probably not live streaming on the app right now. But we do have some live streaming Satoshis that are coming in. People, there are some people, but they're not boosting. Just like that. That's what it sounds like when someone's listening by the minute. Hey, again, my pleasure to bring you a podcast. We'll be back here with you Thursday. Everyone, take care. Be safe. See you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.